Welcome to Platinum Show Investigations. Hmm. Yeah. To sum up, on February 15th, there is a wrestling show in Florida that's close enough to me that I can get to it. It's a Saturday. It's WXW. If that is familiar to you, because it's affiliated with the Samoan Wrestling School. Quite a prominent school throughout the Southeast. I'm excited to go to the show. I'm going to go alone. I will not have the kids with me. So my standards for judging the show are going to be a little different. What I'm going to do is give you a brief overview of what I've seen of WXW. I've never seen a YouTube clip of them. I've only heard of the show and heard of the school, but I'm looking forward to going. But I'm going to show you a few things about it. This series was originally going to be called Shit Show Investigations, but I found that groups did not respond well. So instead, I've decided to call it Platinum Show Investigations. I am going to give a rating to the show afterwards, however, and I'll give you what those standards are at the end. All right, let's get into it. So if you go to the WXW website, the first thing that you see is this. Uh, Pretty standard format, right? Nothing that special, but meat and potatoes. But I like that they have a countdown clock until their next show. Everything's very easily laid out. It's definitely a professional looking website, but not a flashy one where obviously a lot of production doesn't go into it. Shit, it doesn't look much greater than, let's say, your average Angel Fire website from back in the day. Young people, it was a thing. Um, Scroll down a little bit and you get this, right? Um, I have to write down the times of all this shit so I can do it in post production. um, you get a whole news and events thing. I think that's really cool. Whenever they have a title change, we see that there. Whenever we see information about their next shows, it's there. And then there's the little tab with events and tickets, which looks like this. It's great. So you got the news and events there. Um, Looks good. Real meat and potatoes. Again, they've got the shows laid out. Looks like they do about a show a month, which is great. If I enjoy myself, hell, I might go back and take the kids. Um, Ticket prices, right? Ticket prices were one. The show starts at 6:30 p.m., which is a thing that I personally like because it means I can. Oh, damn! I got AEW on. Ooh, powerbomb that bitch on the table and it did not break. That hurt like a motherfucker. um. Anyway, the show starts at 6:30, which I like. It's not going to eat up my whole evening. We'll see if I talk to anybody after or meet people, that kind of thing. Again, I'm going by myself. There are people on the show that I know. I'll talk about that when I show the poster for the show later on. Uh, Things looking good. Prices $15. It seems like it's all general admission. They're not doing any of this bleed you for extra money to sit in the front row and it's not that big of a venue kind of thing, which I appreciate. $15 for tickets. Wish it was cheaper, but it is what it is, right? Let's see if I can get on a list. $15 for adults, $5 for kids. Ambiguous on what kids means. Elena, I might have to have her put shoes on her knees and come in and be a little shorter. She's tall for her age. Um, yeah, good stuff. Um, yeah. Oh, yeah. Here's the thing about WXW. It's most assuredly not a shit show. That the school that they're affiliated with puts people. You know how happy that we were in Georgia wrestling when like Aja Pereira and Anthony Henry, like some people got sort of a tryout with NXT. Here's WXW's picture of who they sent to NXT. Just that school alone, people affiliated with that school. Um, yeah, it's five motherfuckers. Yeah, and they've started announcing who's gotten signed. Congratulations to Aja Pereira to being a referee. Um, Obviously, they're the real deal, and it's a promotion affiliated with a school that is still trying to look like a promotion and not a gym show. Big fan of that. All of that's very near and dear to my heart, so I can't wait to check it out. Um, And let's look at the poster of the show. Not spectacular, but definitely well done. And it looks a little something like this. So there it is. Poster for the show. A guy I know on there, Chico Adams. Um, Definitely a guy that I think has improved leaps and bounds. Can't wait to see him. They got a couple women wrestling. One of whom, of the two of those women on the posters, I believe, are two of the two women that are there as part of the NXT tryout. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of this. Here's my standards. So I can give the overall show a grade. I'm not, I may do a show report for it. I think I will, if I'm so inclined. Though I tend to overwrite and that kind of thing. So good. But here's the standard I'm going to use to give this show a grade. I'm gonna do it four different categories, and it's my standard. So if you don't like it, fuck you. The usual. There's four categories, and I'm going to assign each one of the categories 1 to 5 points. And then that'll give me out of 20 points. And then that way I can assign a grade, and I can be really particular about stuff when I'm writing an overall impression of the show to determine, as part of my investigation, what kind of show are we dealing with here? The first is and it's possibly the most important part is just the overall vibe. I want to know what kind of world they're transporting me into. By the way, this is called a foxcatcher hat, the Sherlock Holmes hat. It's a foxcatcher hat. Had to find that out to get one. The overall atmosphere. What kind of world are they setting up for me here? What kind of experience am I going to have as soon as I walk into the place? What kind of how user friendly is it? Do I know where to go? Do I know what to do? Um, 1 through 5 is going to be the wrestling itself. I'm not a huge work rate junkie or anything, but I want to see if it's a show that makes sense. If I feel like I'm in the hands, I used to say this all the time when I trained. Am I in the hands of experts? Am I in the hands of people who know what they're doing? I don't need all the wrestlers to be perfect. I'm not saying that, but I want to feel like I am not at a show where everybody's cutting their teeth and learning what they're doing. Do they have a nice mix on the card? Are there great moments of the wrestling? Are they able to connect with the crowd through their physical, athletic performance? Etc., etc. So 1 through 5 for the atmosphere, 1 through 5 for wrestling, 1 through 5 for fucking fun. Am I having fun at your damn show? It doesn't mean you have to make me laugh, ha ha ha, but am I into the vibe of what you're doing in the course of your show? Promos can be fun. I mean, even when something's really, really serious or they've sucked me into the moment, I would put fun. For me, fun is how able are they to get me to suspend disbelief and get into what they're doing? That's what fun is to me. And humor is one of those things. I think wrestling at its best has similarities to humor in that things can strike me at funny because they get around my intellectual wall and they just make me laugh. And wrestling at its best moments does that as well. Can your show get me out of my intellectual fucking wall that I'm going to put up and get me to get into what you're doing? That's about fun for me. Now, that might shock you hearing that from me, that that's something that I hold as a standard, but I absolutely do. But here's the flip. The flip side is this. I'm an easy audience. I'm easy when I go to stand up. I'm easy when I go to improv comedy. I'm easy when I go to movies. I'm easy. I'm there to have a good time. This may shock the fuck out of you. Like, Steve, you're just going to go to this wrestling? Yeah. Whenever I go to anybody else's wrestling show that I have no responsibility for, I just go there to fucking enjoy myself. So, you know how you would have some of those teachers that would be like on the first day of class would be like, you have an A and now it's your job to maintain it? That's how I am. In fact, I'm going to go there with the thing of like, shit, you're at a 5, you're at a 20 right now. And all you got to do is hold on to it, which in some ways can be much more difficult, can it not? And then finally, a 1 through 5 given for intangibles. What's the crowd like? How can I interact with the crowd? That was one thing that was cool about MLW was the people that I sat next to definitely like sort of once they found out I was kind of a newbie, they were letting me know what was who and what was what, and we had a good time. And guys would like, when they found out I was going to do a little article about it, they would go out of their way to do stuff. It's like, oh, right now, during the hardcore like Jim Jacobs thing where they're stabbing him with the fork. It's like, I'm going to go up and get a video for you and I'll email it to you. Just it was a big part of the experience, right? Intangibles like I mean, there's things that I enjoy in wrestling shows. There are women wrestling on the shows. I want to be. One of the biggest compliments I ever got was from a friend of mine who came to PCW who had never watched pro wrestling before and never been to wrestling. And it was when we would do the PCW shows at the WWA 4 gym. Yes, I started those fucking shows, right? And he left there going like, oh my god, I'm so overstimulated, man. He's like, you had these like hot women doing stuff, and then you had all the guys and the violence, and then the crowd was all into it, and I just felt overstimulated. Oh my god, there was just so much going on, and I want to fight and I want to fuck and I want to do all this stuff, and your show did that to me. And he was saying it like he was upset, and I was just like, it's fucking awesome. It's fucking awesome. And it was just all the intangibles. So again, those 4 categories that I'm going to judge WXW on, the overall atmosphere of the whole vibe of the place. Yeah. The wrestling. How much fun am I having? How much are they making me just I'm suspending my disbelief and I'm just getting into what they're doing. How much can they get around the intellectual wall and just appeal to the wrestling fan in me that's deep down, deep down. And then 1 through 5, how are the intangibles? How are the crowds? How's the fucking concession stand? Are there fucking gimmick tables that I'm going to love? Am I gonna love the food at this joint? I'm there to have a fucking good time. Anyway, I will have a follow-up. Shit. But this has been Platinum Show Investigations.